Hello, it's Mr. Gibbs here, back again with this final video, all about some more advanced things you can do with text functions. What we have here on the More Names sheet are four people here. Alexander Boris de Pfeffel Johnson, very problematic person. Why? Well, he has 5 names, 4 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4. Jonathan Excel Ninja Gibbs, he's another person who's very problematic. He has 1, 2, 3 spaces and 4 names, and there he is again without his middle names, so he's got 1 space there. And John, also an Excel Ninja Nikielski. Well, what we're going to do here is find their first name and surname. Now, the first name is pretty straightforward. It's always the one on the left. And we can use the standard function that we've learned already. Left A2, search A2 for the space in A2 -1. Okay. So fill that down and it works for everybody. The problem is now, how do we get their surname? Now, before we do that, we should have a look at a function called substitute, which is a really great function, but you need to learn how to use it before you can apply it to this problem. Substitute really just takes some text and changes it to something else. We substitute one thing for another. For example, if I take Alexander Boris de Pfeffel Johnson, let's take all of the spaces and change them to hashtags. Like that, because I can. There it is. There's the whole thing again, just with changing the spaces to hashtags. So it's substitute A2. The old text is the space and the new text is the hashtag. Now, where substitute becomes useful for manipulating names and finding things in text like this is that we have this optional instance number. Okay, the instance number, he has 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. So if I take the 4th instance of a space, comma 4, I get the whole thing again. Just the 4th one is now changed to a hashtag. Okay, now that's useful to me because over here in my surname column, I can apply the same easy formula that I've learned earlier on, which is that if I want to find the surname, I take the length of the whole thing minus the position of the space, which is what we learned in the last video, but this time the position of the hashtag in A7, and we get the word Johnson, which is really great, yeah? However, that will only work, of course, when we have the number 4 in here. Okay, so this number 4 is the 4th space. But other people in this list, well, they have 1, 2, 3, don't they? Or 1, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we have to make this 4 dynamic somehow. How do I get this 4 to be generated automatically without having to type them all in for everybody? Well, let's just remove the surname there. How do we solve this? Well, it's not that hard. Okay, what we do first of all is we use our substitute function that we already have here, and we replace all of the spaces with nothing. Let's remove the 4. Okay, so if I take all of the spaces, or the space characters out of this name, I essentially crush it or push it all together so that all of the spaces disappear, and we end up with that. Okay, why is that useful to me? Well, if I find the length of that, it's 30. Okay, but if I find the length of his original name with the spaces, I get 34. Okay, and of course 34 minus 30 is 4, which was the magic number we had earlier on for the fourth space. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so how do I apply this? How do I use this to get the surname? Well, the surname is of course the very last word in here, and what I'm going to do is just apply that over here. So we say len. What do I want to find the length of? Well, I want to find the length of the substitute of A2, the crushed word. Okay, that gets me the number 30. Okay, and I also need the length of the original word, which was with the spaces, and that gets me the number 4. Okay, so this number 4 I can now use in my formula. Just to prove that this works, if we fill that down there, you'll see 4, 3, 1, 5, and that's actually an indication of the final space or the number of spaces in the name. Okay, so let's use this to our advantage. Let's just zoom out a little bit here because I need to type. I'm going to type this into a separate cell and then plug it all in. I don't want to type a huge formula to begin with. So if I now find from the right hand side of this name, well, what do I want to find? Well, it's the length of the whole thing. Where's my character with the hashtag in it? Oh dear, I need to make sure I have that first. Okay, so let us now use substitute here. What's the text? What is that? What's the old text? A space. And I need a new hashtag, and the instance number is now this formula that we've just created. I need to put a bracket on the end there, and you'll see I've ended up with that. Okay, now once I have that, I can use it with my right function. Just zoom out again. So if I put this in a separate cell, equals right, and it's this text C2, and I want the length of C2 minus the position of the hashtag within C2, and I will get the word Johnson. There it is. If we fill that down there, I will always get the last name regardless of where the how many names there are or how many spaces there are in there. Okay, so one thing I need to do is just to tidy this up a little bit and plug it all into one cell. Now I don't want this name repeated here with a hashtag, so this is C2, so this is my cell C2. So wherever I see C2, I'm going to copy that, Control C, just press Control C, and where I see the word C2 here, I'm just going to plug it in. So highlight C2, Control V, and Control V. It looks ridiculously big, okay, but of course it will now work without the helper cell. And I can take all of this stuff and put it over here and fill it down, and I get my surnames with that function. Now that would be quite difficult to type in as one straight function, but it's no problem to create it stage by stage. So what did I do? Let's just have another look again. We use substitute, and we took the final space which was fourth, and we changed it to a hashtag. This hashtag is the delimiter or the indicator of where the last name actually starts. Okay, so I use that in exactly the same way as I used my space character here. Okay, we search for the last space. So this formula here in our two names example is the same as this one. The only thing we've done is used the hashtag as the final space because we don't know where the spaces are. Okay, so we just use substitute to substitute the final space with a hashtag, and then we the number of characters is taken from the everything after the hashtag. Okay, so that's substitute. It's not a particularly easy function, and I will confess this is quite complicated. However, if you understand the principle of instance number and how substitute works, and you practice this, you will soon be able to do it. My suggestion is, if you found this complicated, watch the video again, pause it, type the stuff in as you're going along. The copy paste at the end can also be just as complicated as the formula itself. Okay, so you're plugging it in. What did we do? We plugged in everywhere we saw the word C2 over here. We plugged it in, didn't we? And we took our variable from here and put it into our function, and then copy pasted it back into the column. Okay, now an alternative to this in new Excel is flash fill, and I'd encourage you to go away and find out about that, which is much easier than substitute. However, it doesn't do this. If I change my name here to Thomas, of course it updates here. Now flash fill will not do that, but you should check out flash fill anyway. It allows you to just fill a name down without all of these complicated text functions, but it does not stay dynamic. Okay, so check out flash fill as an alternative to this, but definitely learn about substitute. It's a great function which not many people use, and more people should use it. Good luck with text functions.